This is Free Speech News, and it is March 21st, 2021, and we have had a lot of news over the past couple of days about Joe Biden. And coming from the Gateway Pundit, North Korea says it will ignore attempts by the United States to contact them. And also, Kim Jong-un's sister put out a little warning for the United States, and she directly warned Joe Biden, and she said for him not to cause a stink if the U.S. wants to sleep in peace. And that is obviously a direct threat. And also, she said more, saying, this is an opportunity to warn the new United States administration, if America wants to sleep in peace for the next 4 years, it better refrain from causing a stink. End quote. So here we are, yet again, with North Korea threatening the United States. And the Biden administration, because we know how they are, and they want a war with North Korea. They want them out of the way so the elites can have more power and no adversaries to stop them. And for the people, I want to move on to something. And for the people who have not seen it yet, you have to watch Rand Paul speaking with Dr. Fauci and questioning why we have these mask mandates. And coming from this report from the Epoch Times, and I mean, Rand Paul just destroys Fauci over mask requirements. And Rand Paul, I mean, he stated the facts from studies, from real life studies, from doctors and scientists alike. And Rand Paul said, if we are not spreading the infection, isn't that theater? You have the mask and you're wearing two masks, but yet he got the vaccine. And then Fauci basically is just trying to make a bunch of excuses and saying that variants are the reason for wearing a mask. A bunch of bullshit excuses, if you ask me. And Rand Paul said, you've been vaccinated and you parade around in 2 weeks for show, in 2 masks for show, if you already have the immunity. You're wearing a mask to give comfort to others. You're not wearing a mask because of any science. End quote. Rand Paul is telling the truth. And it's obvious. And then it's obvious that Dr. Fauci is trying to make up something about variants that are weaker than the initial COVID-19. And basically, he's wearing the mask to keep us in fear, to keep us controlled, to keep the narrative that they have been pushing the entire time. And he kept talking about the variants, this and that, but doesn't say how strong these variants are, because we know that a lot of them, or all of them, are weaker, like I just said before. And remember Dr. Fauci, he has funded the Wuhan lab. He has donated to the Wuhan lab, where they were studying bat coronaviruses and gain of function test. And then suddenly a virus escapes or it was released on purpose. And Dr. Fauci is just as guilty as China. And honestly, he needs to be exposed. And I know Judicial Watch is suing for certain communications, but we need more people like them trying to get the information out, trying to see what these people are doing to us, the American people. And moving on to more Biden news involving China, and this is a little bit unnerving news. I don't want to say scary, but we have the Chinese envoy threatens firm actions in response to United States interference in China's internal affairs. And this report here from, again, the Gateway Pundit, as usual. And side note, I want to say I know I use them a lot, but I also do my research and read from other news outlets, other people, etc. But I do like to highlight the Gateway Pundit for the work that they do and the work that they are doing, especially with election integrity. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, moving on to Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visited Japan and South Korea earlier this week and said that the United States will continue to work toward denuclearization and to counter China's growing aggression in Asia. And Secretary of State Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan then met China's top diplomat Yang Jiechi and State Councilor Wang Yi in Anchorage, Alaska on Thursday. And before you know, the meeting between them started to turn bad quickly. Now, Blinken, according to Rutgers report, said that the United States will continue to discuss its concerns with the action by China in Hong Kong, Xinjiang, Taiwan, and other things, and including cyber attacks on the United States and our allies. Blinken said that each of these actions threaten the rules-based order that maintains global stability. And this is a huge problem that I will talk about in a minute, but China's response was not exactly what we want to hear as a nation, especially since Joe Biden is in office. But a Chinese diplomat responded to Blinken's statements, and he doesn't seem to be too happy about it. He says that the United States has poor treatment of minorities and that each country should handle its own affairs. He also said that the United States uses military power to pressure countries and that Hong Kong and Taiwan were inseparable parts of the Chinese territory. And China strongly opposes U.S. interference in its affairs and that it was necessary to abandon the Cold War mentality. Now, this could end up a huge problem. As we know from the laptop from hell, that Hunter Biden was extremely close and had ties with high-ranking Chinese officials, either on the record or off, and that he was in really deep with them. And that means Joe Biden is in deep with them as well. And the laptop from hell, remind you, was confirmed by the FBI, who had the hard drive a year prior. And that in some of those emails, remember, it was stated that 10% was going to the big guy, who is obviously Joe Biden. And there was a bunch of information on that laptop that I will not get into right now. But I will say this, that Jack Maxey has, if you go on BitChute, he has 2 interviews detailing this laptop. And it's quite disturbing, his opinion on it and what he has seen. And I never thought of it that way. But this corruption runs deep all the way to the CIA and the intelligence community. And how much power do the Chinese have over Biden? And the people who are in charge behind the scenes for the Biden administration, do they think differently of China? Is China expecting certain policies? Are they expecting the Biden administration to act a certain way, since they have been connected with the Biden family for decades now? And now that he is president, what exactly will they be expecting? And what's coming from the Biden administration, I think, honestly, is all just for show. The American people don't think that they are doing nothing towards China for the actions they do. And we'll have to keep an eye on that, because we know now the Biden administration wants to prop up the CCP. They want to say that they are competitors, but yet China wants to take over the world, and especially take over the United States, which I think they have been doing a good job at. As we know, a lot of ties with Chinese officials and politicians, making backdoor deals for businesses, etc. So we have to keep a close eye on that one. And just moving on from the Biden administration, we have Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, again in more trouble, as his hole just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Because now the FBI is probing whether Andrew Cuomo's staff provided false nursing home data, and the FBI is said to be investigating whether Cuomo's aides gave false data regarding the number of nursing home deaths, and the New York Times report that says the aides to Governor Cuomo had not revealed data on residents who died in the hospital because it was incomplete and needed to be bedded, which we now know is a complete lie. And this is just sickening. And the state finally revealed the numbers, which added thousands of deaths to the count. And those deaths are on all of their hands. Everyone who knew what was going on and did nothing about it. And it's not just Governor Cuomo and his closest aide. Because they hid all these numbers and only released it after the state attorney general suggested an undercount, and after the state court said the data was going to be made public. Only then did they release the numbers. And then we have the just as evil Melissa DeRosa, who exposed all of this and said that they froze when the federal government requested for the data, this was at a time when Governor Cuomo was being criticized. But for 2 months, DeRosa and others were removing data according to this New York Times investigation. So this just makes it even more sick. Purposely hiding death totals for months. So Governor Cuomo could look good. So Donald Trump didn't look good. And DeRosa claimed that when Trump directed the Department of Justice to do an investigation, that they basically froze. And yeah, they froze because they knew what they did. They knew what the true numbers were. And they knew at that moment that they were in deep trouble. And as we see, there is multiple investigations, or as we know, there is multiple investigations going on right now, and it doesn't look good for them, and Cuomo will still not resign, and I don't think he's going to. And continuing on with the sick Governor Cuomo, as an eighth accuser has come out and accused Governor Cuomo of sexual harassment. And this comes from Cuomo's current aide, Alyssa McGrath, and accused the governor of making suggestive remarks and also engaging in other forms of sexual harassment. And she was interviewed by the New York Times saying that Cuomo would comment on her looks and her body as well in the workplace. So we are seeing this pattern, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. And I'm pretty sure this will not be the last accuser of Governor Cuomo's actions. So we got to keep a close eye on that. But probably the most important thing we have going on right now, as this exclusive from Breitbart about the crisis that is happening at our southern border. And this is a good read, and at the beginning, it states that in 2 months, that Joe Biden's open border policy has destroyed the 4-year buildup of our border and our national security. Something that most people don't know, but on February 1st, Border Patrol agents arrested a group of 11 Iran nationals who were attempting to illegally cross the border. All told, there has been 14 Iran nationals arrested at the border. Now, their intentions are unclear as of now, but it definitely is concerning. And who knows what they were up to. But to think that our adversaries wouldn't try to get some of their people into the United States illegally, so we do not know that they are here, then you are completely wrong, because they will in a heartbeat. And who's to say they haven't already? And as we see here in the report, that federal agents arrested 4 people that were on the FBI terrorist database. So, as I said, we know our enemies will do this. And I'm sure they will soon try again. And who's to say that there is some of these terrorist people that have already gotten through that we do not know about. And this right here, I personally didn't know about this story, but in 2011, the Department of Justice and FBI stopped an assassination attempt of a Saudi ambassador at a restaurant in Washington, D.C. How were they going to do that, you might ask? Well, Mansour, and I can't say his last name, Mansour, a U.S. national, traveled to Mexico to meet a drug cartel associate at the order of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard troops, aka Iran. Luckily for the United States, the associate was an informant for the DEA, and they were able to stop a plot to kill an ambassador on United States soil using C4 explosives. Quite incredible that they were planning this. And if not for an associate being informant, who knows what could have happened? But for Iran's case, it shows what they are willing to do. It shows what they are willing to do to try to destroy this country. And Iran is willing to do this and many other things. And of course, highlighted here that Biden has destroyed our border security and the last line of defense by signing many executive orders to counter what President Trump has done. He has issued a 100-day moratorium on deportations and halting the construction of the border wall. And when they do this, it does not affect the people coming into the country, but even more, it affects the U.S. Border Patrol agents and the local law enforcement and the residents that are there, the taxpayers. And does Joe Biden care about that? No, he does not. He doesn't care about the American people. As we've seen, and as we have been seeing since Biden came into office, what his policies are going to be. And we need to fight back as much as we can, because he is literally, and the people who are running him, I should say, are literally trying to destroy this country. And it is sickening what they are doing. And more of dealing with the border crisis, as the Biden administration and as the numbers continue to get out of control, the Biden administration is preparing to fly illegal aliens to the Canadian border so they can expedite the process of letting them into the country. And this is reported by the Washington Post. The numbers are continuing to get out of control. On Friday alone, we had 1,000 people, including children without their parents and then families, crossing into the United States border. And of course, we have the Biden administration not even admitting that this is a crisis at our border, only saying that it is a stressful challenge. So they won't even say the truth that this is a huge problem. This is not a challenge when you have 1,000 people at the border in one single day. And get this, American people, because I'm sure they didn't say this on the mainstream news, as the Biden administration has awarded an $86 million contract for hotel rooms near the border to house around 1,200 people. And this is told to Axios from the Department of Health and Services that the contract is through a Texas nonprofit, and the contract is for 6 months but could be expanded and extended. And I mean, the numbers are just staggering, as more than 13,000 family members who crossed the border have been let into the country since the beginning of January. And many of them are released into border communities. Many of them are not tested for COVID-19. Many of them don't go through background checks. And this contract is even more crazy because the nonprofit endeavors is something new to them. They are usually focused on community services and veteran mental health and homelessness in San Antonio. So they give them this contract, and now their resources are going away from helping us United States Americans and our veterans. Now their services are going to these illegal immigrants, and $86 million of taxpayer money is going to house these illegal immigrants. How about we had that 86 million go towards more money in the stimulus checks? How about we had that 86 million go to more research of why masks don't work? $86 million. Are you kidding me? And I want to know, are these people social distancing when they are corralled like this? No. Is this the reason why they changed the 6-foot range to now 3 feet of space between people? So this entire time, we've heard 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet, and now it's only 3 feet apart? I mean, it's unbelievable. We, the people, need to wake up. They knew it was only 3 feet a long time ago. But did they tell the American people? No. To keep us in fear. And I want everybody on April 1st, and I want everybody right now to hashtag Goodbye Masks Day is going to be April 1st. If all us Americans just simply said, no, we are not wearing a mask anymore, what could these people do? Are they going to arrest all of us? Are they going to find all of us? No, they are not. We, the American people, have to stand up for our rights that are being trampled on. Because without our rights, America is over. This was a Free Speech News broadcast. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep the faith.